So eventually I arrived at St John Pied de Port. It's worth going to the Pilgrim's office because they're very helpful. They ask you, how much do you know about the Camino? Have you got somewhere to stay tonight? They give you a list of all the albergues on the route. They stamp your credential. And I think of all the people I met along the Camino, they're some of the most helpful and friendly people and compassionate. And it's a big difference between at the start in St John Pied de Port at the Pilgrim's office, where they're so helpful and friendly, and the Pilgrim's office in Santiago de Compostela, where you queue up for 2 hours, and then when you get to the front of the queue, you really are processed. You know, you have to quickly write down on a piece of A4 paper your details and where you're from and where you started from. They quickly look at your credential, they stamp it, they ask what sort of certificate you want, they separate you from your money, and you're out the office you go. I stayed in an albergue which was called Auberge du Peregrine, which means Pilgrim's Albergue, I think. After the weeks and months of looking forward to doing the Camino and all the preparation, it's a great joy to meet other pilgrims because everyone's super excited. You know, everyone's been looking forward to it, and you all ask, how much does your rucksack weigh? What are your plans? Where are you from? All that sort of stuff. And after all the preparations, you know, all the worrying about, have I got the right boots or the right rucksack? Am I going to make a ferry? Am I going to forget my passport? You're all there, and you realise all of your troubles are over, because all you have to do for the next 5 weeks or so is you just put one foot in front of the other, and as long as you don't get hopelessly lost or have some other disaster, now is the easy part. So there's quite a detailed itinerary I had to get from Britain to St John Pied de Port. It's quite a complicated itinerary to get back from Santiago to Britain, but those 5 weeks in the middle, you suddenly realise all your troubles are over, it's going to be much easier. And so for that night at the albergue, they have a communal meal. Most of the people there spoke good English, and I think that was one of the highlights of my Camino, meeting people on that first night. You know, nobody's worn out, we're all full of energy, we're all looking forward to doing the Camino, and there's just a great sense of camaraderie. The people you meet on your first night, I think, become sort of special Camino friends. You know, you see them quite regularly for the first week, and then now and again after that, and you know there's something special about those first friends that you make. At night we all went back to the dormitory, went to sleep. Do you know what happened that night? Somebody was snoring, which I thought, well, this is obviously just a one-off, but little did I know. So eventually I managed to get to sleep, and I woke up the next morning and everyone had set off without me. They'd packed up their rucksacks and started the Camino. And I thought, well, this isn't very nice. My newfound Camino friends have all gone. But really, that's how the Camino works, and that set the pattern for the next 5 or 6 weeks. Because you meet so many people, there's no point in saying goodbye to them, because you might see them in 2 minutes, 2 days, or you might never see them again. So it's just a constant stream of hello and see you later. The first day on the Camino, from St Jean-Pied-de-Port to Roncesvalles, in the guidebook that looks quite intimidating. You go across the Pyrenees, some sections are quite steep, and it's one of the longer days. But in practice, although on the steep section for Orison it is quite steep, people take their time, you know, there's no rush, and as long as you've got basic fitness and health, no one will have a problem. It is very busy. I think just about everyone sets off on that first day within the first hour of daylight, so you're constantly going past people, but it's fine. One of my most controversial videos was boots or shoes. Everyone has strong opinions on that, and I think it's quite a personal thing. I prefer boots, other people prefer shoes. So when I got to Roncesvalles, I took a photograph of the boot room, and my scientific research found that 23 people preferred boots, 15 people preferred shoes, and 1 person preferred sandals. And a special mention must go to somebody who was walking the Camino in pink shoes, which must be very stylish. So most people prefer boots, a lot of people prefer shoes. What else can I say? The person in the bunk next to me was going to the same sitting at dinner as me, so we sat together, and for that next 7 days we walked together. And if you walk together with someone on the Camino, you're with them 24 hours a day. So, you know, I slept in the top bunk, he slept in the bottom bunk, and we walked together, ate together. And it's quite good for that first week, because everything's quite strange, you know. How do you check into an albergue? Are they difficult to find? Will they be full up? Where do you eat? Where do you buy food? The whole process is new and strange. So just having someone there, you know, how to follow the yellow signs, the yellow arrows, having someone to walk with for that first week at least makes it all much easier. But it took us 3 days before we bothered to exchange names, you know, we just never got round to it. And in fact, in ancient Greek literature, like the Iliad or the Odyssey, there's an idea of guest friendship, that in ancient Greek times, if a traveller was passing by and came to your house, you'd invite them in, you know, you'd bathe them, you'd give them plenty to eat and make a fuss of them, and only then would you ask their name, where they're from and what they were doing. And there was just this idea of unconditional support. So I thought, well, on the Camino, I must leave behind all the baggage of the old world and not ask people, you know, what job do they do or what country they're from. You know, we're all pilgrims together. But after a while, if you don't talk about people's home life, all you've got to talk about is how much does your rucksack weigh and how do your feet feel. So after a while I gave in, and it's much easier. And in fact, going on the Camino and talking about your life and your view of the world, that's not such a bad thing to do. In the first week, my walking companion had terrible blisters, so 2 or 3 days we ended up in the pharmacies. The pharmacists speak excellent English. They're experts in treating blisters. So if you have trouble with your feet, go to the pharmacist. For that first week, we followed the guidebook and stopped in the towns it recommended. And I think that's worth doing because you don't wear yourself out too soon. Lots of other people do the same. So for that first week, there's lots of people all starting off from the same place, starting off about the same time. It does get quite crowded, and it's more of a problem than you might think, because although we all walk about the same speed, maybe about 5 kilometers an hour, some people might walk 5.01 kilometers an hour, and some people might walk 4.99 kilometers an hour. So you're always gradually creeping up behind somebody, or people are creeping up behind you, and in the end you think, well, I'll have to walk past, so you quickly speed up a bit, wait for a space and go past them. As soon as you've done that, more often than not you think, oh, I need to tighten my shoelace, or I need to take a photograph. So they overtake you again, and then you're behind them. So it's a bit of a nuisance, really. Everybody who goes on the Camino arrives with expectations. Everybody reads the guidebooks, they go on the online forums. Some people even make videos about the Camino and put them on YouTube, if you can imagine such a thing. And it means everybody arrives at St. Jean Pied de Port, or wherever they're going to start off with expectations about this great Camino de Santiago. But it's not magic. Nobody gets off a bus, walks up a hill on the first day and has a spiritual revelation, or at least it didn't happen to me. So I think it takes that first week for people to stop having expectations about how the Camino should be and start accepting it for how it is. At the very beginning, there's a feeling that you've got a job of work to do. You know, you've got to walk 800 kilometers. It's a long way. Some people have deadlines, some people don't, but there's just this feeling you must push on and make good progress. You know, you walk all that way from St. Jean Pied de Port to Roncesvalles, and you think, great, we've walked across the Pyrenees, but then you realise you've only done 3% of the Camino and you've still got 97% to go. So it's a great feeling. You've got to push on and work hard. After the first week, people relax into it a bit more, but there is still, I think, a feeling of a herd instinct. For example, a common conversation at the very beginning is how much your rucksack weigh, and there's somehow a superior feeling from people who've got a lighter rucksack than people who have a heavier rucksack. And also there's an issue about how many kilometers a day are you going to walk. Remember, if you don't walk the same distance as your Camino friends, well, you won't see them again. So there's always this feeling of wanting to sort of keep up with everybody else and keep going. Again, after that first week, it dies down a bit, but it's still there. There's still a bit of a, you know, you're with people. If you're the last one out of the albergue, it might feel, you know, you're letting the side down a bit. You're not doing it properly, perhaps. Well, it's just after 20 to 7 on a Sunday morning. It's still dark outside, but everyone else has gone. And to tell the truth, it feels quite rebellious being still here. But I'm having a short day today because I've sort of ahead of the guidebook, and I've got some spare days to use up, so I don't want to be in Santiago for too long. I don't know how much there is to do there, so I'm having a few shorter days. If you come on the Camino to escape the rat race, it's quite easy to end up in another rat race and get up early with everyone and go marching off. Try to be the first of the hostels. So you have to walk your own Camino and you set off what time you want to. That's my new plan anyway. In fairness to the other pilgrims, they were super quiet getting up. People would have been getting up before 6. And with my earplugs in, sort of my arm across my eyes, the light went on. I think when I woke up about 20 past 7, there was one person that left. There was one woman who said she was having a lazy day because she's waiting to meet her son. But apart from that, so here I am. And I think it's the first time I've been in an albergue on my own. There's always someone else around, which is why I can film. So here is my summary of my Camino for the first week. St. Jean Pied de Port, small touristy village. Roncesvalles, single big albergue with a couple of bars and restaurants. Zubiri, a small single road town, has some good restaurants, and it did have an outdoor clothes shop if you need to buy anything there. Pamplona is quite nice. Pamplona, it had a nice square with restaurants you can sit outside and eat. It's got quite a good fort, the remains of a fort, if you can find that. And by the municipal albergue, there's a shop that sells things pilgrims might need, like guidebooks if you've lost a guidebook, or as one person did, turned up without a guidebook or a sleeping bag at all. So we sorted him out in that shop. That's in Pamplona. And it's quite a big town, so you can't go wrong really. Next one, Puente la Reina, a small traditional town with a nice bridge and a nice supermarket. Estella, a big modern town with restaurants in a square again and a big supermarket. Los Arcos, a small run-down village dominated by the Camino, but still quite picturesque and has quite a good pharmacy, as we found out. And Logroño, the capital of Rioja, is a massive town. It doesn't really care about pilgrims, so that's the first time I felt we were in Spain rather than just, I don't know, it could be anywhere in the world, in a tourist hotel or somewhere like that. So for the first week I walked my travelling companion. That's long enough for two men to be together for a week. That's quite long enough. And also, to be a pilgrim, you know, you have to be open to new experiences and new encounters. If you're with one person all the time, it's quite easy because, you know, you walk together, you talk, you go to an evening meal, talk together, eat the same things. It's much more difficult to meet other people and to talk to them. You're always having to compromise, you know, take into account what they want to do. So after that first week, I was ready to go off on my own. So we talked about it, and it was all very civilised, and we shook hands, and I thanked him for the week before, and I reminded him of sometimes he treated me quite kindly and made sure he realised I would remember that. And then the next morning I got up and set off, and suddenly there's this great feeling of freedom. And also it wakes you up a bit because you're the only one who can read the yellow arrows, so you can't rely on someone else to notice when you get lost. So walking on your own is a bigger experience. You're more alert, more freedom. I think, you know, to walk your own Camino, you have to do it on your own really, at least most of the time. And in fact, John of the guidebook says an important part of doing the Camino is the solitude and being by yourself in nature. So I know for safety reasons lots of people like to walk with someone else, which is great if you want to do that, but for me at least, walking on my own, that was an important part of doing the Camino, and that beginning the second week I really enjoyed that.